So I was asking how to either make that original to not jump to that, or to make it stronger when I analyze the things to be able to overcome that original thought.
There's a lot of things going on there. Because Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Because there is haq and there is batil. There is right and there is wrong. You're asking me a question, and you're saying, when you look at something, you're seeing yourself when you look at something. Of course, what you look at could mean a billion things, but let's just take it for what is necessary for us today, tonight, to understand. What are we here for? What are we trying to understand? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to know Him and to worship Him. Finish. Khalas. This is the reason of our creation. Everything else that we're doing is supposed to make us to understand Allah more, to know Allah, not to know the name, not to know, memorize the sifat, but to know Allah. From knowing Allah, then you can worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't know Allah, that Allah that you're worshipping also will be according to your ego. As we were talking earlier, you don't know Allah, you don't try to know Allah. But in your mind, Allah is, if I do good things, I get rewarded. If I do wrong things, I'm going to get punished. So I must do good things. That is okay at a base level. But man, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us why we're not created like, say, butterflies. Butterflies, they are very ugly, and then they become uglier, then they become beautiful, then they die, it's finished. Correct? Why Allah is showing us, we begin very weak, and then we stand very tall, very straight, very strong, and then we become very weak again, coming back to our origin. Allah is showing us now. The reason of our creation now, it is not to serve ourselves. The reason of our creation now, it is to know Allah and it is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The prophets, they came to teach us that. The prophets, they came to say, this is right and this is wrong. But we're saying now, we do something right, we're going to get rewarded. We do something bad, we're going to get punished. We all have children. If you don't, you're going to have children, inshallah. If you don't, it is enough for you to see, to understand. First, you teach the kid, right and wrong. You do this, no. You do this, good. You do this, you're going to get punished. You do this, you're going to get rewarded. But the kid, us, we were like that. We start to grow up, and we understand now it is more than that. It's not just because, okay, father or mother says, do this and don't do this, I'm going to get rewarded, I'm going to get punished. We start to have what? Intelligence. Not just following what someone else is saying, but we start to have intelligence. We start to understand why it is. Why it is. In tariqat, it is to investigate this why. Why are we created? Why are we given life today? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? So what I was speaking about earlier, most now they're still worshipping Allah, or they go to a tomb of a prophet or a saint, or they go to a Shaykh, only for this. Only for this. I need your help because I'm in trouble. 99.9% of the trouble is dunya related. If it's not dunya related, it is jinn related, which most of the time it is BS, it's not so true too. Very few, they're coming now to ask something that is related to the spirit, their soul, to the hereafter. To the hereafter. So now we're worshipping to Allah according to our ego. We're worshipping to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah is saying. Lam yalid walam yulad walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. So how are we knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The child then grows up. He understands right, he understands wrong. But there are different reasons why this is right. There are different reasons why this is wrong. There are different reasons why it is right according to that time, according to that place, according to that person. It is more right than it is wrong. But according to some situation, it is wrong. Then you start to have maturity. You start knowing. You're not just taking an order, you start knowing. You're not just following blindly, you know. You're supposed to pray. We pray. But there are certain times of the day, prayer, it is haram. So prayer, it is compulsory, but it is haram. There are places where you can pray. Allah is saying we made the whole earth to be clean for you to pray. But there are certain places you cannot pray. Correct? So now you're saying, oh, okay. You start to look at something now is no longer just two-dimensional. You start saying, oh, there is more sides to this. And every day you're going to see everything is going to reveal itself more and more and more. More it reveals itself, more you're going to say, Allahu Akbar. That time you're going to worship because Allah deserves to be worshipped. Not because you're running away from this or you're running towards something. So now, there are so many things that are right and wrong. Everything is according to that. Shariat still exists. The Shariat that is for today's time, it is personal. It is your own. Maybe in a community, maybe. But who here is learning Fardu Ayn and Fardu Kifaya? Who is teaching? Where are the masjids that are teaching? They should be teaching that. They don't teach. In some ways, Awliya Allah is saying, the less you know about this, the less responsible you're going to be. It's okay. Others, they will carry this. Others, they're going to carry this. How many of us here, especially those born in this country now, know the difference between Fardu Ayn and Fardu Kifaya? Huh? So we make it very simple now. We say, we have good leaders over there, follow them. That's okay. Follow them. You're seeing something, and immediately you're judging now. This is right or wrong. This is what you know. But who are you following? Which eyes are you trying to see? If you're still trying to see those eyes according to a 7-year-old, then your faith and your spirituality is stuck there. Or your sense of morality or whatever it is. It's stuck there, 7 years old. Whose eyes? Who is teaching you that? We are learning so many things, but very few. We're saying, who are the teachers that's teaching me this? Who are the teachers? Are they teachers? Are they qualified teachers? We get so much knowledge. We hear, oh, that makes sense, we keep it. We hear, oh, that makes sense, we read this. But so many of the teachers, they're not qualified to teach us about life. Because we grew up looking. Who are we looking at to teach us about life? People from TV, celebrities, comic books, role models. They're completely different now. Oh, religion becomes just that, very stiff, very serious religion, all about this. But there is this connection between how you're living your life and what religion, what spirituality is teaching you, and how you have to make that connection. This is what the prophecy was sent. So now, when you're 7 years old, 17 years old is different. When you're 27 years old, it's different. When you're 70 years old, it is different now. So whose eyes are you watching? Who is teaching you that? We are following a Shaykh. Why are we following him? To look at things with his eyes. Why is that? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, beware from the vision of a believer. Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying, everything that the Prophet is saying is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Beware from the vision of a believer because he sees with the nur of Allah. We may say we haven't reached to that level of a believer yet, but at least we must have a believer that is in front of us to follow. that for 1,500 years, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers, that's what they were doing. They were following believers. They were not following Superman or Batman or politicians or rock stars. They were following those ones who are beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're following the believer. Then you start seeing things with his eyes. If you're following a believer, and you are not having that close contact with him because you live very far away from him, it's a little bit harder. But as long as your heart is open and you are trying, you're taking that one step, you will get it. You will understand. Because now they are just dealing with principles. Principles. They don't try to change every detail. They say change the foundation. Once you change the foundation, then whatever you're building there according to your own way, it's going to stand because the foundation is strong. Foundation is what? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Everything that comes with that now. That is the foundation. So your right and wrong cannot be outside of this kalima. Your right and wrong cannot be outside of this principles of shahadat, prayer, namaz, fasting, hajj, zakat. It cannot be away from that. So your right and wrong, it cannot be away from amantu billahi. It cannot be away from that. Now, if you want to make your faith to have ihsan, to have beauty, to have perfection, then you're going to follow those who have taqwa. And that taqwa is not, when I'm saying Allahu Akbar, then I have taqwa of Allah. Not 5 times a day, quickly, that you have taqwa. No, that taqwa is when they're sitting, when they're standing, when they're lying down. That taqwa is when they're with their family, when they're alone, when they're with a crowd. Their remembrance of Allah, their consciousness of Allah, they're closest to Allah. And this is the taqwa of the Holy Prophet ﷺ that we are trying to follow. We cannot be in the same level, definitely not, but we're trying to follow. So now, when you are looking with that vision, the vision of a believer, the vision of who that you are following, your ego is going to say, no, but I learn it like this. My mother says like this. This book says like this. Then you start fighting. He says, no, but this is like this, but I don't understand. How is this? You start having fight, a conversation. You start having a holy struggle, establishing what is right and wrong inside of you. And if you are together with the one that you are following easily, it is easier now for you to consult. These days, you don't have much of an excuse, because if you cannot meet, you can text to each other. If you cannot, you can do so many ways to communicate with each other now. So you are going to communicate and you're going to say, this one, I understand it like this. Now, how did that change? How am I now, when things are happening, I judge instead of looking? Go ahead, do that. You're going to do that again and again until you realize that why I have to burn every time I put my hand into the fire. We're saying there is a fire there. Don't do it. You put your hand and you scream, you pull it out. But you put it again until you make that connection. That connection, it is through experience. But that connection, it is through tafakkur. When you start thinking and understanding why I'm doing it. What is making me to do this? Why can I stop? What are the things? What are the, today's language, triggers? What is making me to do that? You start thinking, and then you start having that fight, that conversation inside of you, and you start doing these 3 things. You start being busy. Why is this got to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Everything. Because a person can memorize the Quran. The person can know everything about all 4 books. And there are people who are studying very hard to know all 4 books. You can know all the laws, the do's and the don'ts of Islam. But if you don't know yourself, if you don't understand yourself, you will not know your Lord. Because the Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying, the one who knows himself, he knows his Lord. You can be having tajweed completely. You can have everything that you are learning to recite beautifully and you knowing the laws. No one here, no one in existence today, their knowledge, no scholar, no alim, no ulama can be higher than Hujjatul Islam, Imam al-Ghazali. May Allah bless him and raise his station.
Amen.
And he knew every little corner of the religion. He knew every argument. He is trained because in those days, we think we have education. In those days, their education, we cannot even come close. Yeah. One of the things that they have to know when they are learning madrasa, you understand madrasa? One of the things that they have to study is what? Logic. Those of you who have taken logic, you know how difficult it is. It makes your head to spin. They have to. These days, you take a course online, you're becoming an alim. Huh? In those days, you're watching very carefully. This one, what is his background? Where is his lineage coming from? What is his level? What is his influences? But he's very good. He excels in Shari. Don't give him that chair. Don't give him that title. They're saying because this deals with religion, it is very important. Oh, these days, you don't know where they are from. People have just come just yesterday. That's why they are coming and they're making a whole big mess. Those who are coming, those who are already in, everyone's making a big mess because there is no modesty that is taught. Modesty is coming from knowing yourself. Because now everybody say, I read Quran, I can make my own fatwa. I read Hadith, I can make my own fatwa. They're pushing for liberal Islam. Why not? Why I have to have somebody to tell me what to do? I can read, right? Isn't that what they're pushing us to do? But in the old days, even those ones who don't have knowledge, they have fear from Allah. And those ones who have knowledge, they have more fear from Allah. They're saying, how many hadiths have you memorized? I'm going to give you an example. I memorized 70,000 hadiths. Okay, that's only enough for you to make fatwa on certain subjects, just for you and your family. That's it. Oh, these days, forget about it. They start giving fatwa to each other, saying, I like this, I don't like this. This is like that. So it's a whole big mess. Once you start seeing according to the eyes of a believer, the one that you are following, the one who has a tradition, like our Shaykh, through 40 grand Shaykhs, over 1,400 years of spiritual training, then you start seeing things differently. You start seeing, okay, this is wrong, but let me step back. Where is this coming from? It's coming from here, it's coming from here, it's coming from here. I shouldn't make any judgment, I shouldn't make any decision, no fatwa. I should just watch a little bit and see. Because you make decision when you are full is different. You make a decision when you're hungry, it is different, correct? You make a decision when you're angry is different. You make a decision when you are happy, it is different. And this is when you have all the knowledge. When you don't have the knowledge, ooh, what a big problem it is. And so many times, it is not just that. It is according to your experience in life. You can learn as much as you want, but there's a reason why prophethood was not given until 40 years of age. Then you start seeing, you start experiencing, then you say, okay. Now it is also according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made me to see and to witness. It's not just according to what is right and wrong, my knowledge, that knowledge through these eyes. Now you start taking everything together. Then you start understanding a little bit more. Stick your hand into the fire. Jump to make a decision. You know this. Voice inside of you is saying don't jump. But you want to jump. Go ahead and jump. You're going to be in trouble. Okay, next time. What happened? Next time you're going to do it again. But you're going to feel a little bit more cautious maybe. Yeah. Next time you're going to do it again. You're not going to be so free to do it again. But this is experience that you have to go through. And you have to, what's the difference now, experience here and experience outside? What is the difference now? Complete different. Who you're following is different. The Jamaat that you're following, it is different. Your aims, your ambition, it is different. Who is speaking in your ear, it is different. Who is pushing you forward, it is different. It is very different. Anybody who wants to come, come. If they don't want to come, we're not going to force anyone. This is not the way. But for us, we found some safety. But it doesn't stop. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. So many people, they don't even know what is there. We didn't know. I didn't know, maybe. What is that ego? What does ego mean? I have an ego? Allah, Allah. So many people saying, me, ego? Then you come, you listen, you think, you live a little bit, then you understand, oof, this ego, the voice that it has, Allah, Allah. It is like another being that is inside of me. Then you start understanding, you start fighting it. You start having that holy struggle that is inside of you to know yourself, to know Allah. So many they don't. This is not according to age. There are so many that even if they are both feet they are in the grave, they're not going to know. This is not according to the age now. This is according to the heart, how the heart is going to be open. There were children in the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. There were children who were different religion. And they recognized the Prophet ﷺ. There was a Christian slave boy seeing the Prophet ﷺ, who was sitting in like a garden kind of thing, gave him some grapes to eat. And the Prophet said, do you know who I am? He says, yes. Your name is Muhammad ﷺ. The Prophet says, do you know? Started to call the names of the Bani Israel, the prophets. Do you know Musa? Do you know Yaqub alayhi salam? Do you know this? Do you know Isa alayhi salam? He says, yes. He says, those are my brothers. I am a prophet like that. He says, really? He says, yes. And we all say, La ilaha illallah. And the kid is saying, what is that? He says, that is the key to paradise. To say La ilaha illallah. And the kid says that. It's finished now. The kid now is entering into paradise. Abu Jahil and Abu Lahab, they were the uncles of the Prophet. They're not ummi like the Prophet ﷺ was. Their buddies were the kings, Kisra, people who ruled. They are buddies with them. They go and they make business with them, and they're able to enter into their private chambers. Like Abu Sufyan was invited by Heraclius into his own private chamber. And they know so much, but they didn't know themselves. And for that, they refused to say La ilaha illallah. And although they are closest to the Prophet ﷺ by blood, not too much safety reaching to them. I'm saying not too much safety because even Abu Lahab